Appreciate it. So welcome everyone, and really excited here to talk to you about the next stage of the announcement. And I'm going to cover two things, and we'll get into a Q&A with our guests as well as we go through it. And I'm actually going to demonstrate to you some of the capabilities of the things that we're announcing. So first of all, as John mentioned, IoE is IoE, or Internet of Everything, is really about taking data, process, information, and things, and collecting the knowledge from the network, and using that to be able to drive business value. Business value for everyone in the value chain, whether it's a service provider or an enterprise or a consumer. Now this is happening around us with mobility, cloud, video, and all these market transitions occurring concurrently at an unprecedented pace. What our strategy is really to help enable service providers and drive profitable business outcomes for them. And the way we're doing that is by creating and generating and innovating new services that are network-based, connecting those networks to clouds and clouds with each other. And ironically, this is exactly what the operators are asking us for, and that's what we'll talk about today. Now, the three areas that we typically hear from our customers around what they're looking for is help them drive revenue, profitable revenue growth, agility, which is to move extremely fast, because the business world is moving quite fast. And the Internet of Everything, it's not about the last month or the last week, it's about the last 15 minutes or the last 5 minutes. And of course, do it at the lowest possible cost as well. Now, the first of these examples is Mobility IQ. This is a new breakthrough innovation from Cisco. It's a software as a service offer from InterCloud, and it's also being used by our customers today. Now we'll talk about what the actual use cases are and actually do a demonstration for you. But essentially what we're doing here is we're taking knowledge from the network and taking that knowledge and extracting it and visualizing that knowledge for different audiences in the same food chain or value chain. And we'll talk about what those are and how they use this information.
So Kelly, when you think about it, what's so unique? Is it really combining Wi-Fi capability with the cellular side? And why is it complete? Why is it easy? Why is it fast? If you're bringing it to life for each one of us, because it took you about 20 minutes to explain to me when you were speaking about this. So break it down so that you can understand a little bit more.
So John, in the past, the data was kind of in silos, right? There was a cellular data which was contained in one environment, and it was primarily for the outdoor networks. The Wi-Fi data existed, but it wasn't really, it was data that was stored. But what we've done is we've taken that knowledge from those networks about the things that are going on in the network and combined it and made it possible for translating that into a business value that an operator or their customer can apply into their business. And let me give you a couple of examples, and I'll show you how exactly that happens. There's a lot of deep innovation that's actually made that possible now, including many of the things that we've been working on inside the company, including data virtualization, database analysis, and also the visualization technologies. So let's maybe move to the demo, because I think this would be best captured in a demonstration. So at the FIRA, how many of you actually have the GSMA application on your mobile handsets? Most of you do. Well, thank you, because that is a really, really good application. And the idea is that the FIRA wants to transform your experience while you're at the show. Right now, behind the scenes, what's happening is there's a whole Wi-Fi network that's running across the entire conference. And what you're seeing here is a snapshot of data that was captured just up until the last hour of what's been going on inside the network. And we're going to present it in three different views. The first view is the network operations view. The second is the marketing, kind of the business view. And the third one is really the managed services view. And I'll talk about examples of all three of those. So the first one is the network operations view. This is the data that the network operations teams would like to see around the performance and the health of the network. So what are they interested in? Well, how much data is transmitting in my network up until now? And that's 460 gigabits, or compared to 1.4 terabytes yesterday. How many devices are actually in the, let's go into here, and you actually see the bar graphs on that data and the progression. Aggregated and, of course, designed in a very simple and easy to use way. How many devices are actually on the network as of today? And how many devices were there yesterday? What we noticed yesterday was the peak number of devices that we detected was about 131,000 devices. of which only about a third were connected. And that actually kind of correlated to this room when I asked how many people actually have the application. Those were all of you that raised your hand are probably the ones that are connected. We can also look at traffic usage by time. And we can also look at how much was it, which hour today compared to which hour yesterday. We can look at the peak hour by users, when the most users were online and when they were not. We can actually look at the heavy usage. And typically, the audience in this room is the heavy usage for capturing information and uploading it to the sites that you do with videos and pictures. But we can actually see where that usage is occurring and in the last 5 minutes and the last hours. We can aggregate information, not just from Wi-Fi network, but 3G network as well, where this is a 3G network where voice calls are being transferred from the macro cell to a small cell network, and it's capturing how many hours of information, how many hours of voice calls have been offloaded. We can also look at things by access points to say which access point, which area of the network is actually the busiest. So Hall 2 this morning is the busiest with the most amount of traffic, and we can actually see how that changes as you go from different halls from one to the other. Now if we go back to, this is again the network operations view, where the audience is the performance and health of the network. If we do the same thing to the marketing person, the marketing view is the following, which is now the marketing person is interested in saying, what's happening and how can I translate that to some value for things that I can do to change the customer experience. So for example, the marketing folks want to know at the arrival time, what was the peak arrival time of the folks coming into the conference. So we have a by 15-minute interval, a window of how that's being tracked. We also have the top halls by move-in. They might want to know where to put certain advertising, where to charge more for certain billboards, and where to maybe do some things that they might need to by hall. So it shows that 30% of the devices in the last hour were actually coming in from hall 3. If you go back, we can actually see social information, which is what are the most active social sites that are being currently used in the environment. And it looks like, well, Skype has been used 3 gigabytes, and WeChat has been used about 180 megabytes today. We can also look at additional information by roamers. We can look at it by conversion rate in terms of actual people getting on to actually associating onto the network, and also as we talked about the halls by users as well as we had before. So all of that very useful for the marketing team to then tailor some particular offers.